Good morning, mathematicians. I want to take a couple minutes to review finding coordinate points on a coordinate grid. This very important skill will be used in our Valentine project. So first of all, I want to remind you that you can click this button and you can zoom out and you can zoom in as you're doing this project. That will be important because you will see that the numbers on the y-axis as well as the x-axis are quite small. And so certainly being able to zoom in will help you to ensure you are finding those correct numbers as you find your x coordinate and your y coordinate. The other thing that I want to point out to you is that because of the limitations within Google Spreadsheet, I was not able to write, for instance, this one right here on the line. Truly, boys and girls, this one should be written on this line right here. The 2 should be written on this line, as well as on the y-axis. Of course, this number really should be between these cells. It should be right here on this line. You hopefully recognize that from coordinate grids that you have seen in the past. Of course, when I write it on a paper, I am able to write wherever I want, but within the Google cells, I have to just write in the middle or the left or the right. And so here, of course, I took that letter and I moved it to the right. That was the best that I could do. So remember, guys, this too really is talking about this particular line on that x-axis, okay? Now, when we find coordinate points, remember, we always go over, then up. So we go over in order to find the x coordinate, then we go up to find the y coordinate. The most common error that kids make is reversing that. So I like to tell my students that in order to go to an elevator, you have to walk to the elevator first before you can go up the elevator. And that may help you to remember to get those numbers in the right order. Guys, when I ask you in this project to find a coordinate point in your letter, of course, there's many coordinate points in your letter. There's many coordinate points here that you could note. It is important for you to remember that there's not just one correct answer when you're giving the coordinate point of your letter. As long as you're giving me a coordinate point that is within your letter, that is fine. I believe for my example, I always did the bottom left coordinate point so that I just had that consistency. So let's take a look at where this exact point is. In order to find this, I'm going to go over 4. Then I'm going to go up 15. Remember, this 15 is right here. So this is 15. So if I were writing this particular coordinate point, again, I'm going to do this just so that in this example, you can see what I am telling you. I went over 4, then I went up 15. So truly, boys and girls, the coordinate point of this particular point right there is 415. That is how I find coordinate points on a coordinate grid. You simply go over and then up. Remembering that with your letter, as long as you give me a point that is within your letter, then that is good enough for me. There's many that you can choose from. Part of this project is also going to require you to not just make letters, but to use at least 3 of these stickers in your design. So let's just pretend for the sake of this example that I am using the Thunderbolt right here beside my U, okay? Remember that you can expand it, you can shrink it, but you're sticking these on your page in some way to make your design. Just like the letter, please note that this Thunderbolt sits on many coordinate points. It does not matter which point you give me as long as it is a point where I will find the Thunderbolt. I, just like I told you, liked to do the bottom leftmost point is what I did in my examples. So let's do that now. I am going to go over 12. Then I'm going to go up 22. So once again, let me write this so you can see how we note those coordinate points. I went over 12, up 22, and that is where I found this particular coordinate point. Now, just for the sake of this math review video, I'm putting this on the coordinate grid just so you can see. Now, please remember, boys and girls, that zooming will definitely be your friend as you do this project because these letters are rather small. Double check and make sure. Here I went over 12, go all the way up, and then I can come over and see, yes, indeed, that was 22 units that I went over. So boys and girls, this is the way that we put points on a coordinate grid. You will be noting this. So your 4, 15, your 12, 22, you will be noting those down below in your actual table in the coordinate point particular cell within the table, okay? I want to remind you about this. There is an additional column in your table that says directions for how to get to that point from the origin. Well, let's come up and let's take a look. Remember, boys and girls, that the origin is this point right here. It is 0 units over, 0 units up. It's this particular point. So we are now practicing giving directions with that coordinate map. It's almost like, we're going from this spot to this spot, just like you might walk from home to school, okay? So we don't move diagonally as we give directions. Instead, we start at this origin, and we're going to say something like, I go right 12 units, I go up 22 units. Okay, again, I'm using those words right or left and then up, however many units I'm going up. Boys and girls, we have verbally talked about the different math skills, but I would encourage you to come over to my example and take a very close look at the mathematical applications that I have in my example, because I do think that that will help you to feel very confident as you do this project and ensure that you have a good grasp on those mathematical skills and can demonstrate that with your creative work.